This is Sergeant Amanda Seeley of the Louisville Metro Police Department's Public Integrity Unit. Today's date is Wednesday, March 25th, 2020. The current time is 12:55 hours. We are present at 3672 Taylor Boulevard at the Public Integrity Office. This will be a recorded statement from Sergeant John Mattingly. The statement is in reference to PIU case number 20-019. Present with me are Sergeant John Mattingly, Attorney Steve Shore, and Sergeant Jason Vance of the Public Integrity Unit.
Officer involved shootings. So we're here just to try
Sergeant,
to
are you aware this statement is being video and audio taped?
Yes.
Does this meet with your approval?
Yes.
So we take our stuff.
Please state your full name and spell your last name.
Attorneys,
Jonathan Mattingly, Mattingoy,
What is your code number?
2465.
Where are you currently assigned?
The CID Interdiction
You were
Squad.
asking about
How
your
long have you been
parents
with that
earlier.
Um,
And I talked to you
up in
about
that narcotics
your
before they
dad.
changed it or since they've changed
Are you
it?
close with your dad?
Either.
Been up narcotics since November 2016.
I know you. Is he still
And
coaching?
how long have you been on the department?
Since June of 2000.
Okay.
Almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Are you under the influence of alcohol, drugs, or any other intoxicants at this time?
No.
Are you taking any kind of medication that would affect your judgment or ability to think clearly?
No.
And Sergeant
The
Chanel
next four
actually
questions
spoke
are going to be in reference to the actual incident night on March the 13th at
so,
Springfield Drive
we told him
about your uniform
everything
and
we
treatment.
know.
Did you sustain any injuries during this situation?
Yes.
Pretty
Please
much in
describe.
the early stages of the investigation.
Sustained a gunshot wound to the upper left
I was told
thigh.
that, you were going to come back here.
Tore through
things like that,
the
and I was actually
femoral
with
artery
A guy that
and exited out the
knew your
back of the
father
leg.
from
Did
after
you receive medical treatment?
Did.
Where and by whom?
University of Louisville Hospital by the trauma team.
Point.
There were several doctors.
And,
I don't have their names.
Okay.
That was about it. I mean, we left.
What type of uniform or clothing were you wearing at the time of this incident?
And can you kind of
Do you just want me to give you from like the bottom up what I had on?
Everything we know.
What?
Okay.
Had
Like,
black Under Armour boots
I was
on,
telling you,
gray
this
pants,
is like the internal affairs.
a
unit,
black
right?
3/4 zip
So we're
Nike
just kind of
pullover,
figuring stuff out.
and
at
I
this
had
point.
my
And you've got a pretty good perspective. And
tactical
we'd
vest on that
obviously
said police on the front and back,
that'll be all right with
with the plates in it.
Before we get started, I just need to go over.
Do you have the same uniform or clothing on right now?
To you
No.
and have you sign it. We'll just read
Because of
over
the
it.
statutory requirements of KRS 67C326, I am obligated to advise you of your constitutional rights prior to making any further questions. And this is the rights waiver. I'll read over this.
This is Amanda Seeley, Louisville Metro Police
Putting the
Department
time or
Public
the
Integrity
place,
Unit.
3672
Also
Taylor
with
Boulevard.
me is Sergeant Chad Tennell, PIU Office 3672 Taylor
325.
Boulevard.
While she's
Today's
doing
date
that,
is
let's,
March
just
13th,
kind of mention something to Steve.
2020.
We actually changed
Thursday, the current time
KRS,
is
referencing
03.
Yeah, it's not 15.520 anymore. It's because Louisville's
I am
a
here
first class
with-
city. And once it was brought to our
Is it your-
attention, we
your
changed it.
name?
But
Kenny or
it's the same
Ken?
privileges.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Kenny?
Same rights waiver, yeah.
Before we ask you any questions,
Middle
you
initial.
must understand your right. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you
Okay.
can
So Walker.
say, anything you say can and will be against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer prior to any questioning or making of any statements, and you have him present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed by
So
the
we're
court to
here
represent
about
you
an
before
incident that occurred
questioning,
at
if you desire one.
3003.
You may stop the question or making of any statements at any time by refusing to
Springfield.
answer further or by requesting to consult with an attorney prior to
3007.
continuing with
3003?
questioning or
I'm
the
sorry.
making of any statements.
3000.
I have read this statement of my rights, and I understand what my rights are. I'm willing to make a statement and answer questions. I do not want a lawyer.
That to you?
Do I still read that? I'm sorry.
It's the preamble of the LMPD rights waiver.
It's fine.
Okay. I understand and know what I'm doing. No promises or threats have been made to me, and no pressure or coercion of any kind have been used against me. I felt like he should have been reading that.
And all that says is that basically that you're
1259.
agreeing to those terms.
Thank you.
What'd you say?
Sergeant, in your own words, the incident that occurred at
Just trying to find out what
3003
happened.
Springfield Drive, apartment number 4, on the morning of Friday the 13th. Give me your words of what happened and
Okay.
your involvement.
All right, we were executing a search warrant for one of the other units up in CID. I think it's place-based.
You hang out at
And,
your girlfriend's house a lot?
About 45 minutes before we executed the warrant, I did a drive-by with Mike Campbell, had the eye on the house. So I did a drive-by the apartment just to get my own visual to make sure which door we were hitting.
So had you been over there
When
all
I came up to the
day?
door, there was two apartments. It was the second door over, and there was a Roto-Rooter van right in front of it, and that's how we identified it. And it was apartment 4 on the bottom floor on the right. So there was two doors looking directly at us, two on the side. It was the one on the inset on the right. Went back and we geared up, and when it was time to, when SWAT
Anybody else live
was
there?
doing their thing down at 2-4 in Madison, we went over, or Elliott, whatever it was. We executed ours at the same time. I was the first car in, pulled up on scene. When we got there, there was a vehicle that hadn't been there prior to me coming
Good.
through. It was a
Was it?
around 2004 Toyota Sequoia.
Oh, is
It was
it?
white or cream in color. I pulled behind it and exited my vehicle. I went up and cleared that car to make sure nobody was in it since it wasn't there prior. At that time, I went around the front of it, cut between the cars. We made our approach to the apartment.
So did y'all finish watching the movie?
When you go up, again, the door's on the right. There's a stairwell that goes right over the top of it. I circled all the way to the back since I was going to be the one knocking on the
Hang on,
door.
I'm sorry.
So I was basically in front of the back door of the other
I'm
apartment.
so sorry.
It's
I got
just
tied up in listening to you.
right
So
beside
let me
it.
read these real quick and then let's go back to where you are.
When we all got up in line, I knocked on
You
the
have the right to
door,
remain silent.
banged on it.
Anything you can.
We didn't announce the first couple
say.
because our
Anything you
intent
say
was
can and will
not
be
to
used against you
to
in
hit
court
the
of law.
door.
You have the right to
Our
talk to
intent
a
was to
lawyer
give her
prior to
plenty
any
of time to
question
come
or
to the
making
door
any
because they said
statements. And
she
you
was
have no
probably
presence
there
in law,
alone.
you have any questions. You can't afford
So
to
we
hire a lawyer.
determined, predetermined to give her plenty of time to come to the door.
If you
Banged on the
start,
door.
You may stop questioning or making
No
statements
response.
anytime or
Banged on it
refuse to
again.
answer.
No response. At that point, we
Further,
started
or by
announcing
requesting
ourselves.
to
Please,
consult
please
with
come to the
attorney
door.
prior to continuing
Please, we have a
questioning
search
or
warrant.
making of any statement.
While we're doing this, there was a
You can sign
neighbor
this.
or
It says,
somebody
"I have read the
upstairs
statement of my rights.
right
I
on the
understand what my
staircase
rights are. I
that started
will make a
arguing
statement and
with
answer questions. I do not
Detective
want a lawyer
Hankinson
at
and
this time. I
Lieutenant
understand and
Hoover.
know what I'm doing.
And
No
they
promises
were
or
both giving
threats have
commands
been
to go
made
back
me,
into
no
his
pressure or
apartment.
coercion of any kind
And
have been used
he
against
kept
me.
saying, I wasn't really paying attention to what he was saying, something about leave that girl alone or something like that.
I'm sorry.
But while he was doing that, we were still announcing police, come to the door, police search warrant. And we banged. I probably banged on the door six or seven different time periods. Not 6 or 7 times, but 6 or 7 different times. Which seems like an attorney
Who
would
was
be up at a
Do
doorway.
you know?
It probably
Can you describe
lasted
him to
between
me?
45 seconds and a minute, banging on the door.
No, I understand. And I'm sorry. I just.
At that time, I looked back at Lieutenant
I just don't
Hoover,
like
and he
when people
says,
do
let's
that.
go ahead and hit it.
Yeah.
Because at one point, probably after about the third time we banged, Mike was standing at the doorway, and he says, I can hear somebody inside. I think they're coming to the door. So we thought they were coming to the door. And then we didn't hear anything else. So we kept banging and announcing. And at that point, Lieutenant Hoover said, go ahead and hit it. So I looked at Mike and said, go ahead. So he hits the first time, and it hits right on the door handle and didn't move the door. And every time he hits, people are announcing, please search warrant, please search warrant. Second time he hits the good spot, and it
Was it
almost
a-
knocks
do you
the
know if it
door
was an
open.
officer
You
in
can see,
uniform?
I could see the deadbolt at an angle, and I could see a crack in the door leading into the apartment. So I said, this one's going to go. So he hit the third time, and as soon as he hit the door, came open, please search warrant, please search warrant. I go to round the corner. I clear the living room on the right-hand side where you can see the sliding glass door. As I turn the corner, as soon as I cleared the threshold of the front door, I could see down the hallway. My mind your mind works so quick in this situation, it's unreal. Because as soon as I cleared it, I'm face on about probably 20 feet away, right down the hallway. There's a bedroom door on the right, and there's the male and a female. The male's closest to the door, so it's to my right. And as I turn the doorway, he's in a stretched out position with his hands with a gun, and as soon as I clear, he fires. Boom. And it was almost like at the shooting range where two things flip at the same time and you got to shoot, no shoot. But I mean, they were like shoulder to shoulder. My mind's going, this ain't right. You know, something's off here. Because all the doors I've made entry in, I've never seen this. And so I hit this corner and it goes boom. And as soon as the shot hit, I could feel the heat in my leg. And so I just returned fire. I got 4 rounds off. And it was like simultaneous. It's boom, 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 boom. And then I went back and went down on the side of the door and then reached around. And I think I got 2 more off around the corner of the door. And then I could really feel the blood in my leg. So I reached down and felt it, and my hand was full of blood. And I knew it hit my femoral at that point. So I scooted back on my butt and I yelled at them, I've been hitting my femoral. And
So he was in your room.
I scooted back, and I think at that time Miles slid up. I'm not sure. I think he was over my left shoulder behind me. I'm not sure where he was standing. I know Tony was behind me. Mike was to the right of the door with the ram. It was Brett, Hoover, and Campbell had come up around the corner at that point by the stairs. So I'm assuming Miles was behind me because I think he was there in front of me. And so I slid back on my butt to get out of the line of fire. And for a second, I had let go of my gun. And I realized what I did, so I reached out and grabbed my gun and pulled it back. And I was like, I can't stay here. So I stood up, and I hobbled out across in front of the door and went to where the curb is, where you step off in between the cars. And I guess Mike Campbell had stumbled, and I think he stepped back when the shots fired, I'm assuming, and fell off the curb. Because when I went to go through the cars, I looked down and was like, my mind's going, why are you on the ground? You know, and I tripped over him or fell off the curb or something. At that point, I holstered my gun and scooted to the edge of the car, and then Hoover came up and grabbed my vest from behind and pulled me. And is that as far as y'all need? That was the contact with the suspect?
No, we need the
whole thing. I do remember when I went on the ground, I don't remember any, right there in that doorway, in the breezeway, I don't really remember shots fired because I remember I was thinking this. I was putting pressure on this, and I got to get that way. But I do remember when I tripped, by the time I went out and I stepped off the curb and tripped over him, I remember as soon as I hit the ground and holstered, I could hear all of a sudden boom, 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 several shots at that point, it seemed like then. And my mind could be playing tricks on me, but I'm sure it was then when I hit the ground because I was still by myself. And then as I scooted out, Hoover grabbed me, and it seemed like I got quiet after that. We get to the edge, and I said, man, I've been hitting my femoral, I need a tourniquet. So Hoover said, I don't have one. He grabbed his belt and he put it on it, and he squeezed it, and I remember reaching out and said, it's not tight enough, I need a tourniquet. And about that time, Tony James shows up, kind of going back and forth, and he comes with one. He ended up having on his vest. He goes to put his gloves on, and Hoover says, fuck your gloves, grabs the tourniquet, slides it on my leg. They start tightening up. I think somebody stepped on this hip to push down. Somebody pushed on the leg. I can't really remember who it was. But I remember them squeezing it. And I said, I need a knife to cut this off to see where it's at. I said, somebody find a knife. And the knife came out of somewhere, and they started cutting the pant leg off. And then I kept going, did anybody call for EMS yet? Because they were just a quarter mile down the road, if that. And I kept going, where's EMS? And so I got on my radio and tried to call, but apparently they had some kind of standoff on channel 2 or
in the
the main channel
or
was
the
on.
hallway? Was everything off because you guys
So
had gone to
it
bed?
just got some clicks. They didn't know what I was saying. Then I could hear Brett yell 10:30 on the radio. And as they're squeezing that, I lay back. And I could hear him yell 10:30. Then I hear the beat car getting there not too long after that. And I can remember Hoover saying, time to ram the gate. And so then Brett, I could hear him yelling at him on the radio to ram the gate. And then I hear the gate get rammed, boom. EMS still hadn't gotten there, and I kept going, where's EMS? You know, where the fuck is EMS at? And I'm because the pain wasn't really in the shot, it was up in the groin and in the back, and I'm thinking, man, at this point, okay, we got the tourniquet on, I'm good. Now, we got to get this leg, you know, I didn't want to lose my leg. So, at some point, EMS shows up. It seemed like forever, I don't know how long it took. They finally showed up, and I remember them saying, let's get him in a car and get him up. They kept saying, do you want to go in a car to to university. Well, I knew EMS was so close and they had stuff we didn't.
You said
So I was
you
like,
grabbed
no, let's
your
just
gun.
wait for them.
You have
They've
your
got to be
CCW,
here any
yeah.
second.
What kind
And
of gun
so,
do you have?
Finally, they show up. They say, throw him in my car. Miles said, throw him in my car. Well, I remember walking toward the car and said, I'm not getting in that back seat because I knew my leg. I couldn't get down and back up. And so they said, well, put him in the trunk. I remember
said
hearing
you
that. And
grabbed
the
it.
trunk was popped. And Hoover's like, no. And he went to shut the trunk and there was some gun case hanging out. So they shoved it in, put me on the trunk, or shoved the trunk, started to pick me up. And Hoover has my legs and the guy in the back didn't lift my back up right, and I almost went to the ground. And then he puts me. Hoover says, "Get underneath his arms." So they put me on the trunk. I'm holding on to it as we're driving toward the gate, and I saw the EMS guy walking toward me, and I'd made contact with them prior to make sure they were our EMS drivers. And the young guy's walking toward me with his bag on his shoulder. And as I'm looking, I see the EMS wagon start to back up and go
So did
the other
both of
way,
y'all
leave
step
us.
out of the
And
bedroom?
I yelled
Were
at
you
him
in
and I
the
said,
hallway?
where the fuck is he going? And he's like, I said, call him on the radio. And he said, I tried, he didn't answer. I said, try again. So he tried again, all of a sudden he stopped, and the EMS starts coming back. So we get up to the front to where the gate's at, and I'm not sure what the other guys went or what they were doing, but Hoover finally said, fuck it, hold on to my neck. And he scooped me up, and he walked me around the car. Somebody pushed the gate down. We stepped over it. We got up to the wagon. Got in the back of the wagon at that point.
Like there's a room to the left when you come out of her room. So there's a wall. Like
We've got
right here.
a couple photos of the scene.
So when I just dropped
kind of
on
a
the ground, like
reference.
screwed everybody. I don't know these shots, where they're going or stuff. You know, I'm scared. I've never even been that
So
close
photo
to
one
somebody shooting a
represents
gun.
the entire area,
Unless
and we'll
it's
just
in a controlled
like sub-label
environment, such as at
the
range.
actual building where this
So I'm,
took
like,
place. We're gonna
freaking
label
out.
as
I can't
A.
register anything.
We'll use B as the gate.
So,
So you just fired
This-
off one?
yeah.
No, we heard
just
Jen
one.
say,
That was just the
and
warning. I
we're
don't know
gonna use
who's
this
coming
photo
through
kind
this
of
door.
to make sure that
The
we
door
understand
can't
you
get
correctly
out.
as far as like how you came out.
One shot,
So this
boom,
is photo
and
two.
There was a lot of shots, so I
It's
just
a closer,
dropped. Like,
close up of the building where it took place.
And what did you do with your
This
gun?
is
Did you drop?
the breezeway and then the sidewalk, and there is kind of like a little like handicap access point
because I didn't
there.
know what to do.
where the sidewalk kinda veers to the-
And if they did,
that parallels the building.
somebody's gonna like
And
come
there's
in,
a
'cause I'm
step or a couple
noticing
steps there.
the police now, 'cause I
If you
hear
can,
them yelling
and obviously the
stuff
cars in
after
this
the doors
this
are
photo
getting
do
down
not
after
represent the
I
cars in that
got
incident.
And
But
she's
we
right
wanted,
on the ground.
some kind of
So I didn't
visual
want anybody to be
to
like
understand
thinking
everything
I'm
happened.
trying to be.
So the breezeway comes out. There's a set of stairs goes to the second floor of the apartment building.
I don't even care what happened to me at that point. Like she
As I understand what you said, you come out and you go between like this car, where this car's parked in the photo, and this car, and Campbell has fallen down.
Right.
Is that right?
Right.
There would be no reason
Yeah,
at all.
he's in between here. There's a car here. When I come out, step off this curb, and go in between here. Pretty sure it was that one, not that one, because that would just make more sense. I don't think I would have veered out. I think I would have went to the path of least resistance here.
Okay. Now, just from working the scene and all that, we all know that there was a white SUV, and you said in your statement as well, it was a Toyota Sequoia. Was your police vehicle parked immediately behind it?
Directly behind it.
And where would you? I'm gonna let you mark it. And it doesn't have to be exact.
All right.
Just what you remember. The two
As far as where they were?
Yeah, the Sequoia and then your car.
I'm pretty sure the Sequoia was up just a little bit further, like right here.
They were at the wrong place.
Okay. So this person in
Might be-
uniform?
was-
No, he wasn't. He was driving like a silver.
And then, so where do you think the first aid was given? I mean, if you had to
So
guess.
If I had to guess,
You
it was
and
right here.
Breonna had any kind of
And at some
interaction
point,
with
the
police or
vehicle they
anything
used, you
lately?
talked about.
No,
them-
I'm sorry.
Breonna work?
It may have been right.
Where does she work at?
He works at the hospital.
I know I came through the car and he drugged me somewhere. I just can't remember if we went on this side or this side. I think it was out here.
Okay,
Yeah, because then Miles's car pulled up here.
right.
Yeah.
And then, you remember what kind of car it was?
His?
She also
An
works at
Impala?
Jewish,
No, a Max.
part-time job.
Not a Maxima, the one below it.
Where do you
Ultima.
Nissan Altima.
Yeah.
Unemployed
Um,
right now, just lost
So they
my job.
used that car to put you on the back, on top of the deck lid,
Right.
and to kind of like help you instead of carrying you.
Right, so it carried me that far.
Right. Because it's,
And I
as you
held
can
on
see in
to-
this first photo, I mean, it's a
It's a pretty good
decent-
haul.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be very efficient for someone to carry.
Yeah. So, and I held on to the black, there's like a radio antenna, but it's a black flat one. I held onto that. I remember that.
Okay, so they evacuate you to this gate here in the photo.
Correct.
And at that point, as you said in your
You-
statement,
Kenny Kenneth,
Hoover,
what do you want to be called
Lieutenant
for?
Hoover had requested patrol to ram the gate to open it.
Correct.
Because it kind of separated the property.
Yeah, he was trying to get EMS in here because he knew,
it was cool. It's
he
Chad,
probably assumed
so,
at that
you know,
point
what are you
they
gonna
would
do
get
with that, you
confused
know?
if they came down and realized
So,
it doesn't
I
match.
just
You
kinda
have to come all the
I kind
way
of just want to
around.
go back.
Right, and it's
Over
obvious
it and
the
kinda,
most efficient way to evacuate.
yes.
Fill in maybe some confusion that I had.
So they get you to the gate.
So these like
and then
loud
they-
bangs at the door,
They shuttle you into
and you all are yelling,
ambulance.
"Who is
I
it?
know there
Who
was
is it?"
some
You know, that kind of
confusion,
thing.
You know, communication issue with
How many?
you guys.
You know about how many loud bangs
Right.
there was?
So
And then you're transported to the hospital.
boom.
I don't have a
What's that? So now we getting out putting
a street view
Yeah,
of,
y'all aren't
of the
bad.
actual, you know,
Yeah.
the front of the apartment, just
Naked,
because
pretty much. Okay.
probably because of this gate, the location of this gate,
Mhm.
Google had not. They don't have a street view of this location. They actually they only have
Right.
like loud as
Y'all
can
still
be.
in the bedroom?
Still in the bedroom.
Views of it.
Right.
Because we're
So,
trying to get trying to get decent
go back
go
to-
into the door,
Right.
wherever it may be.
Is the
When you
bedroom
guys,
that
prior to you guys,
first bedroom
you know,
on the
trying to
left
make
down the
entry.
hallway, or is
You
it on the
stated
right?
that, you
I
know,
didn't make it all the way down
you
there.
guys
but-
knocked on the door,
Straight back.
and
Straight
your
back.
whole intentions were is
Right.
just to get the occupant or occupants of the house to come to the door.
Correct.
Now,
Sorry
what
to
kind of
interrupt you, go ahead.
information,
So-
if any at all, were you guys given in the pre-operational briefing?
Where she's still yelling, "Who is
We were
it?"
told
I said, grab the gun.
Sure.
So now we're
that
got enough
the target,
I still didn't make it
their main target,
shoes on her,
the
and
male,
we don't have-
had packages sent to
no,
this
I see it, yeah.
location, her name.
So
She held,
after I
possibly held
grabbed
dope
that,
for him,
start
received the packages,
walking towards
and held his money.
The door to go see who it is.
Okay.
Another loud bang.
And do you remember
Well,
the
not really,
name
I don't
of the
know if
target
it's a loud
on
bang,
the
but
search
the
warrant?
door is coming in when we
Not
got
offhand, no.
Because it wasn't a search warrant that you or the people, your personnel that
The
assigned to
doorway,
you.
like
Right. We didn't write it.
down
We
the
didn't do
hallway.
any investigation. We did not have the background.
And you guys were
Past the-
only there to
past the
assist,
room.
you know, you got
mean the
multiple
bedroom
units
doorway?
within CID
We never
were
made it past the
trying to
second
serve multiple warrants.
Right. It was a heavy manpower intensive.
That's on the left.
Operation,
There's a
they just
bathroom
needed
that's on the right
bodies.
if you're coming
Okay,
from-
other than, you know, what you just
So
stated, do you remember
everything
anything about
like
the
mid-hallway.
pre-operational
Okay.
briefing?
So you never made
As far as
that.
for us
No,
on that
we
one,
saw where
yeah,
her-
it was.
where her body was
They
at.
said they
I
did not
saw
believe she had
before
children or
it
animals,
was
but they weren't
closed
sure.
The back wall.
Said she should be there alone because they knew where their target was, and I guess they felt that he was her only boyfriend or only acquaintance.
But as we're coming to the door like comes.
The whole
off
time Mike
hinges.
watched the house, there was
Like,
no
but
change in
you
lights
can't
coming on or
see
off. The
like
only thing he saw was
the door
the
comes
light on the
hinges,
bedroom, the
just-
TV.
It's happened
So he-
fast, like it was like an
He was
explosion.
able to see some
No,
type of,
so
or some
boom,
form of
one shot.
illumination in the
Then
bedroom.
all of a
bedroom
sudden there's a whole
Do you
lot of
remember
shots. We
which
both
window
dropped
that
to
would
the
have
ground.
Yeah, it was.
I just hear her screaming.
Mhm.
This would be
No,
these.
Yeah, this one.
Did you shoot towards the door or just like up in the air or like?
Like,
think it
like
was
towards
that
the
one, but I'm not
ground,
sure.
really just
Right.
a warning shot. So if it was
One of the
somebody
bedroom-
like
Right, one of the
run
bedroom
off
units.
or
When we walked by, I
something,
remember
you
seeing
know,
it lit up blue
somebody's at this
when we
point,
pulled up.
Somebody's breaking in
Do
the
you know what
room.
time,
Like, we
Mike?
don't-
Did you see anything when the door?
I have no
opened?
idea.
Hinges?
When
Did
we
you see
briefed, he was
anything
already
at
on
that
scene.
point?
No, I
We
couldn't
briefed
see
at 10
anything.
o'clock.
It was dark.
We
There
didn't
was
hit it
no
until
lights
12:40,
out there.
12:35.
So all we're
At
hearing
12:35 on my
is
phone,
loud
I was
booms
calling
and
him,
nobody's saying what
telling
it
him
is.
we were pulling around the corner, getting ready to come in.
Where were you at? Where was she at, and where were you at when that shot was fired?
And
So say
Detective Campbell knew that it was apartment 4. He was given all that information.
Correct.
she was right here
Right.
and I was right here.
Is this the other bedroom?
Going
door?
back to,
This
you
would be
know,
the bathroom.
So you guys, your whole intentions were to have the
And your all's
occupant or
bedroom
We
was
occupant,
just
back there.
we just came out of the room. She
Yeah.
really came out
Characterized.
first.
you know, you were all
But she was kind
knocking
of
and
like
announcing.
next to me,
Initially,
so
it's
I
just
come
knocking,
out,
trying to get
then
to the door,
the door gets kicked
which
in,
kind of,
so I'm right,
you know,
here's the other
initiates
room.
the
She's
upstairs
right here.
resident to come
So
out and make
one
contact
shot,
with you
boom.
guys.
Right.
And
Down the
do you remember
door's
kind
flying
of what
open,
kind
there
of
was a whole lot
verbal
of shots, so we both
exchange?
dropped.
Right.
But when I
Between
dropped,
upstairs?
Yes.
I'm right here closer to
I remember
this one. She's
when he
dead
first
in
popped
the
out,
middle of the hallway.
Lieutenant Hoover
So
kind of
boom,
came
shots
to a,
coming in,
I don't know if it was a
don't have
low
any
ready or
choice
kind of a up because they didn't know
Right
who was
there.
approaching them. And I remember
You're
Brett
right-handed?
extending his gun
Yeah.
saying, get back in your
Shot with your
apartment, get
right
back in your
hand.
apartment.
So did you
Brett was a little
shoot
bit worked
before
up.
the door flew open?
And I remember at one point, because
Well,
they
like,
kept
It was
exchanging,
all in like one motion.
you know, while we're
As it
doing this,
flew
I remember
open.
looking at Brett saying, Brett, relax.
Like, boom,
Brett, just relax,
boom.
relax.
Like it was like simultaneous.
You know, while you got to pay
Kinda
attention
like
to
that,
them, that's
like
not your
eye
focus.
level,
Right.
Yeah, not really. I feel like
other
I
than
feel
the
like I
obvious,
ain't
you know,
down.
the police
Get down a little
logos
bit.
on your
Yeah,
attack
like,
vest. I mean,
'cause I
did you
wouldn't-
all,
Of course,
you know,
I don't need to
identify
kill
yourselves?
anybody if you
Sure.
know if I can just get you out of here.
I don't know if they did or
just
not.
by
I don't know if they ever
your
said we're the police.
So
Because your
Did you
focus
hear
was on the.
anything?
You,
Right.
At this point,
Yeah, I'm the
you're
one physically knocking on the
Okay.
door, so I can't really pay
Right.
attention to what they're doing.
And it would be dangerous
Did you hear anything?
Right.
for you not to
Right.
stay focused on the door.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know we refer to that as a fatal fall.
shooting,
Right.
and she's screaming, and I'm on the ground.
So,
my
you know,
feet are kinda
at some
into
point,
the
Lieutenant
other
Hoover
end.
decides
So
that,
when
you know,
I'm
you guys have
stupid,
waited too long, or, you know,
and
you've
like I said,
allowed
so when I let off the
you know, a
shot,
pretty
and I
sizable
dropped
amount of
to the
time to
ground,
go by.
the gun dropped
Go
Right.
past.
More than enough time for the average person, or even a disabled person, to get to the
To
door.
that other
Right.
That small
bedroom
part.
underneath
So
that
the
bed.
decision's
there?
made that you all are going to
Yes.
force
Is that her
entry.
sister's room?
That's her sister.
Okay.
And she's not here.
So you kind of went through what Nobles did as far as how you forced the entry into the
At what point
apartment.
did you realize they were the police?
And you said you
when
kind
the
of
door
split
was
the pie.
open,
You're
she was
clearing
on
the
the ground,
immediate
like,
threat to your right,
I'm
and you
right
come
there
back to
with
center,
her,
which is
and like
what
I
we're
could
trained
hear
to do.
like,
Right.
And at the point that you come back to center,
and stuff.
how much do you,
outside,
how
and
much
I'm in
exposure do you think you had as far as like blading that that
or whatever, and then
whatever
after
cover
it's
you
been,
can
like,
get in
5
that
minutes,
entryway, which is not
like,
much.
Right.
I
I
told
bladed
my
the
mom,
cover until I
and I told her that
until where
somebody
the
just kicked
hallway
in
meets the
and
door.
dropped me. So at that
You couldn't
point,
see
when I
any
called
more
my
from
mom,
where I was
still didn't
standing.
know
So at that
so
point,
told her on the phone,
I had to step
somebody
out in front of the
kicked
doorway
door. So I hung
into
up.
that
My mom's like,
clearance
call
area.
911 right now, call
So-
911
And that's when
right
you
now.
see
So I called
That's when-
male and
911.
female almost
I told
parallel,
them
or
what happened. I'm
you know,
still not
Yeah, they're
together.
perpendicular to each other, side by side, shoulder to shoulder. I mean, it was really almost like they were together. Again, my brain was going, what is this? You know, this isn't normal. It's not the normal way people even stand in a house together.
And talking about that hallway, was it illuminated?
It was enough where I could see him. I did not turn my gun light on, which I'm thankful, so that his gun wasn't more attracted to where my light was. I don't know if people had theirs on behind me. I could see enough to see
I'm just freaking out, but I'm
a
on
male on the
phone with
right,
her
a
mom.
female on the left. Could I identify their faces?
So
No.
they keep yelling,
But I could
"Come out." So I'm
actually
like,
see the
okay, it's the
handgun in
police.
his hand.
So
I
now
remember
I'm like,
seeing
okay, so
the barrel of that
coming out or whatever,
as soon as we
I
turned that corner.
on the phone
And as
with
soon as
her
it did,
mom, before I
the flash
stepped out,
and
I
the
yelled to them. I'm like, hey,
the
I
heat.
got my phone
And talking
in my
about,
hand.
that's
I'm unarmed,
instance,
like, so I come
your
out,
backdrop
and I,
is
like,
an
you know,
illuminated
like this, they're like, put the
breezeway.
phone down, put the
Correct,
phone down.
correct.
So I put
And
the phone on the
if
ground.
you have a dark
You know,
space,
just
you have
like
a door
this,
that's
you know,
now
like,
open, and you
telling
have
me
an
to walk
illumination
backwards
behind
to 'em or
you,
whatever.
whether
So
you
I
had your
just start walking
tactical light on or
backwards, and
whether
then,
it's
like,
not
there's
light,
a-
would
something that
your
was
in your
blocking
experience,
me
I guess
or
what I'm
whatever,
asking,
was telling me to move
would
it out of the way.
you would be
Like,
illuminated
the dog
Yeah.
more than
Yes, I would have the outline on me.
Right.
Right.
So, and you just said this, you saw the muzzle flash, and then you feel the gunshot.
Yeah, it's at the same time.
Gunshot.
Yeah, there's no difference in time. It was.
Do you know whether or not you kind of described that you were on your butt in some position, and then you scoot back at some point, but did you immediately drop down?
No. No, I got 4 rounds off. I know that. As soon as it hit, as soon as he fired, I fired back. Boom, 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 boom. I stepped back and went down. I don't know if my leg gave out or if I just instinct from the 2 standing or 4 standing, 2 kneeling like we do. I don't know, and just get off the center. I don't know if that just kicked in. I got off center and got behind the door, but I know I went to the left and went down. I'm not sure how. And then just came around and got 2 off. And then just got out of the game. Just let them take over. I didn't want to get shot in the back of the head.
Right, and that was kind of what was good too, is that, because of your
this was
positioning, initially when you're shot, and then rightfully so, you're returning fire, you just said, you made a conscious decision, I'm now injured, I need to move so they can protect themselves and me as well. And I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, that's it.
Okay.
That was it.
So
I need to get out of their way to do whatever they need to do, and I didn't want to take one from them.
right.
I mean, all that comes into play in your head. Like I said, your brain is working unbelievably quick.
And
The
we all
stuff
know
that
under
takes
stress
place.
we lose our fine motor skills.
Yeah.
Things kind of narrow down. So you're pulled in. We're going to refer to the door.
Did she call
as we
anybody, like,
face
when y'all
it,
first
so
got
left,
there?
right. So at this point, you're always on the
I
left-hand side of
didn't.
the
I
door.
called
Correct.
people
Nobles is
after
always on the right.
everything
Right.
had happened, and
And you
nobody.
believe at the time of the shooting
really made me
that
not realize
Tony
it
James
because
and
nobody
Moss
was
Cosgrove
like
were
rushing
behind
in
that
after.
Or
that
more
shit
on my
happened.
left, yes.
They all like
Okay.
stayed outside.
Behind me.
So I'm
Okay,
like,
so be on
To
your
my
left.
left.
what the heck was that?
On my left.
Okay, on your left.
Like, so
Okay.
now,
Yes.
because
So,
she was shot, that's
At
what
some
made me call
point,
my mom
you know,
and call
I know we
her
learned from
mom
the
and
witness
know
interviews
everybody
that Tony had
know
a
what
ballistic
just
shield.
happened.
You know whether that was utilized at all?
You called your
You just-
mom,
or you
then
just got it on
911,
Yeah.
and then her mom.
Yeah, I
Because
don't
my
know.
mom told me
Okay.
to call 911.
But at some point,
I never saw Tony. The only face I saw that
Did y'all
I
have,
made
like,
out
patio
clear,
doors
again, everything was
in the
kind of like
apartment as well?
shadows to me as
Did
far
you
as who was
see
here.
anybody-
I remember somebody over here, which was
Did you come out-
probably
out
Hoover
of the
because he probably
hallway
followed me out.
before
I
when you
never
saw-
came out of the hall.
But as I got up and left, I looked to my left to try to cross the doorway to get across, and I don't remember seeing in the door, but I saw Mike underneath the stairwell. The stairwell here is the door here, and I remember him crouched. Yeah, I remember
So
him
were you
crouched down. I
walking
remember seeing
out of
his
the apartment
face.
backwards,
That's
or
the
did you
only
walk
face I saw
forward
until I
and
saw
got to the
King
door?
walking around. Those are the only two faces I recognized as I was going out.
just because your positioning and all.
Right,
Are you aware whether or not there was officers with you that returned fire?
Okay. Did you see
I
it?
don't know.
Yeah,
I
I know
never
everybody
saw
kinda
anybody
shrinks
return.
down.
I never saw anybody return fire.
Okay.
Like I said, I heard it once I got out,
And what was
between
he
the
yelling
cars.
to you?
but
Just
right
come
then,
out.
I don't know.
They were just yelling, come out of the
So
apartment.
you don't know if others fired along with you?
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't think they did, especially my initial four. I know nobody did. It was just me and
So
this
once
guy.
the door flew open,
That
you
was
never
it.
saw
Other than that,
anybody?
after that, I'm not really sure.
But at that point,
Never heard anything?
do you think anyone would have a position
No.
to where they could?
They would've shot me.
Okay.
Guess they
Right.
like dispersed or something, which makes sense because I let off a shot.
I just want
so
real
guess
quick, because I
they
just made a note when you
moved right there.
initially
But I
were
still
talking about
not
seeing the
knowing
door.
who it was.
So
or
did
what
the
just
door
happened,
come all the way off
everything
its hinges?
happened, like,
It,
blink of an eye.
it went fast and went from right to left. So it opened from left to right and opened all the way out. It was
Come on, and
wide
it bounced
open.
back.
I don't remember it
wide
bouncing
open.
back, no.
And then you had mentioned, you said that the guy was
Any
stretched
idea how many
out.
shots you heard
What do
after
you mean
you
by
got
that?
I mean, both hands pushed out in a fighting stance, or a shooting stance.
It had to be at least like 10.
Did you do you remember them,
was a
the
lot of
occupants,
shots.
saying anything to you?
Nothing.
Okay.
I seen.
And when, was it Mike that said he thought he heard
Right there. We heard
Yes.
some talking, but you couldn't make out what that was either?
No.
like, I don't even know.
Not sure I even heard it. I think when he heard that, I was kind of addressing whatever this situation was going on upstairs between Brett and this guy.
If you had to,
It was a
Would
lot
you-
of shots.
would you characterize that verbal contact with that resident as
He was
something
being-
that kind of
So
pulled
you
kind
said
of changed the
when you guys were
tactics
laying
of the
in bed-
situation?
It did.
'Cause he-
It pulled away from a lot of it, and he was being belligerent.
Nah, like
I don't know
it was
why.
just-
I mean, I don't know if he was drunk or what, but he was being very hostile from the get-go. I mean, as soon as the contact was made, he was just arguing back, and they were saying, just get in the apartment, just get in your apartment.
But you never physically or you never actually saw him?
No,
or-
did
okay.
not.
Because of the positioning where you were at.
Right,
You
I
were
was underneath
behind-
the overhang,
Yeah.
so I couldn't see it.
Okay.
Said it something. Don't have any kids or anything, and she don't either. So
You said you guys didn't initially announce.
No, the first bang on the door did not announce. I think after that we did. I couldn't be sure for the second, but again, there was probably 6 or 7 different
Yeah, I know you said you
contacts
started one
of
round.
multiple banging on
Did
the
she ever
doors.
shoot at all?
And after that, each one of them had,
Any more
police,
rounds ever
come to the
get
door,
fired out
search
of that
warrant,
gun?
please
No,
search
just
warrant.
one.
And I even remember
Okay,
Brett,
not
when he was
millimeter.
arguing with this guy while we were knocking, going, please search warrant, please search warrant, please search warrant, please search warrant. I mean, he was repeating it, so the guy had to know we were the police. Because while he was in, that just clicked, while he was in contact with him, and I'm banging, he's yelling that, please search warrant, over and over and over.
I only had that couple left, so I just had them in there for.
So was Mike also
How many do you think you had?
knocking, or was it just you that did?
I was the only one knocked.
Only one that was knocking.
Mm-hmm.
So was anyone else
Right.
yelling, please search warrant besides you and
Yes, yes, multiple people.
Brett?
Yeah.
Okay. So kind of at the same time,
Yeah.
all the voices
Just
kind
kinda
of
how it
each
happens.
other?
Yeah.
You shouldn't take any more than that.
Right. Do you always keep one in the chamber?
So in the pre-operational briefing, you guys just considered this location as, and I've heard this a couple times throughout this investigation, as a soft target.
Right.
Based on the information that the lead had
Well, not pulled over, but the
concerning the entire investigation,
Correct.
the organization of the
have a gun
you know,
license yet.
drug trafficking
You
ring.
know, well, no, I did get pulled over actually, and I had.
So that's what made that, that's what kind of made you all come up with the original, hey, we're just going to knock, try to get her to
took
the
out
door,
clip and, like,
you know, the
man,
most
what happened
passive
and
way
stuff.
into the
And then
to
they
serve the
came
warrant.
back and
Right.
he was like, I never hand anybody guns back. So they
So you
put
were
they
shot
gave
in your
me- they
left
threw the
leg,
clip in my
um,
front seat. And they put the
Your
gun
wallet, where do you
in my
carry your
trunk.
wallet?
Front
He
left
was
pocket.
like, for future records, never keep one in the head because that's a charge or something like that, like intent or something like that. So since then, I never even keep one in there. So
What do you keep in your wallet?
So you don't
I
know.
don't know how true that was.
Bank cards,
I mean,
credit
it made
cards,
sense to me, so I'm
money.
like, you know, I don't want any problems.
It's got a metal
I
clip
just
in the
want
middle that holds it.
And so you don't know how many you had in your clip?
And you carry your wallet in the front pocket for what reason? Some guys do.
The
some guys
back hurts. Wearing the back hurts my back.
plus one, I think.
And I remember in the EMS, and I forgot this, in
How
EMS,
long have you had the gun?
the only thing left on my pants was basically what was tied under the tourniquet and what they couldn't get out on the top. My wallet was flipped inside out, or my pant
You were in the
pocket was
range
flipped
a lot?
inside out.
No, I've only been to the
And I
range
remember
maybe
ripping my
2 or
pocket
3
open
times.
and pulling my wallet out and handing it to Tony because I didn't want it to get lost. And I didn't realize a bullet had gone through it at that point. And I handed it to Tony and I pulled off my ring and undid my
You
main
have
belt
other
and took my
guns?
vest
Well,
off.
I did, but I had to.
And,
well, I only had one other one.
Just 'cause I didn't want this stuff getting
AR-15.
lost. And then eventually Tony realized, or somebody realized there was a hole in it and left it for ETU to get.
So you don't have
CSU
that
did
gun.
that at the hospital, right?
Right.
So is there any
Did Tony
other
ride down
guns in
with
her
you?
He did.
apartment? The sister doesn't have one that would be kept anywhere. And
So
she-
the guys from your group, the initial
She's
people
only-
were Tony James and Mike Nobles.
Yeah, she definitely.
Correct.
Yeah.
For my unit, yeah.
And then Brianna's never had a gun before.
No, she's supposed to be getting her one.
We won't get into any really specific details of your injuries.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, you were shot in your leg.
Any type of specialty ammo or anything like that you carry?
It was a
Is
serious
it ball
injury.
ammo or
As
carry
far as
hollow points or
that, you
anything?
were released from the hospital on Monday.
16th. 16th, yeah.
What did the doctor say as far as physical therapy?
I went to physical therapy this morning. There's some numbness where I can't feel in the thigh and on the calf on the bottom. He said it could come back. The feeling could not, may not. Just depends on if the nerves regenerate.
Trying to make sure we
But he
ask you
expects,
everything and
barring any other
Anything that
thing,
you
there
can
might be a
think of
knee
that-
injury now that we just discovered. Some ACL, MCL stuff.
We haven't
Maybe
asked,
from
but-
stepping off the curb. I'm not sure because the quad muscle apparently
So did
quit
you actually talk to the
functioning when
dispatcher?
it hit. I
when
knew
you
I
called
couldn't
911?
put weight
Someone
on it,
answered.
but I didn't know why. And that they
And
said
what'd you
that
say to
quad
him?
muscle stops working, so it starts pulling your leg.
So you're looking maybe additional
Kicked in the door
surgeries.
and shot
Possibly. They don't know yet. I don't have that appointment
Did you
until
give
April.
them the address?
her. Yeah.
Just because of this current situation we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Told her my name, and I gave my address, and I think that was it. I was panicking too.
Is there any questions we haven't asked you you think's important to us?
I don't think so.
I just told him I
Steve,
gotta
you have anything?
go. I
Just
gotta go.
one, just to clarify, if the briefing prior to the execution of the search warrant
So
was
was there
the
any
warrant
sounds in the
authorized
apartment
as
that
a
would
knock
be
or a
picked up, you
no-knock?
think, that was
Or do you
going on
remember?
at that point
Well,
while he was on the phone with
I verbally heard we have it signed as a no knock, but we're not going to go that route. We'd prefer you to do the knock.
But nothing from like
On the board,
outside
it was
in the
written
hallway
no
or
knock,
the
no
door
knock,
or
knock and announce on ours.
no one
Um,
yelling.
But just because they put knock and announce doesn't mean the warrant wasn't signed to no knock. We were told
What's
it
your mom
was,
saying?
Right.
but they asked us to do it the other route.
Gotcha.
So that's what we did.
That's all I've got.
And her
Do you know
mom-
why they would have make it
Had it
different?
signed and then changed?
No.
Don't know.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
And then
Brianna's
prior
mom.
to your, like when you guys arrived, when you guys set up your stack, is that something you guys kind of do the same as a group, or is it just position like how? when
It
you guys
depends
walk up the
on
door?
the what we have available to us. This breezeway was very small, and the best way to kind of go, when you go in and go left to right,
Oh.
you couldn't fit everybody on the left side,
Make it
which is the
Tamika.
best advantage because of the way the door swings open. You didn't want everybody exposed on the right. There was no room with
So
the
you
stairwell,
said that you and
so
Brianna have
you
been
just
on
kind
and
of
off for
fit in
7
where you
years?
get, and then the rest are going to have to straggle in after
So,
on the right
You
side.
said that she had messed around with
Would
somebody
you
else
describe it as
before, or-
it's a pretty,
It was
as far as the
really-
location goes? I mean, I know there wasn't supposed to be a threat there, that it was considered a soft location, a soft target location. But as far as serving warrants, and you've got nearly 20 years of police experience, would you say that the positioning of that apartment
So
made
you
it?
guys known each other
extremely-
longer than 7 years?
It made it a little more difficult. It's not the most difficult I've done, but it was it was a tight squeeze to get with guys that, especially guys that maybe you don't do all your warrants with, you know, to know what you're doing. But everybody
She
fell in
always lived
place
in
where they
this
were supposed to. So,
Well, first
but
she lived,
yeah, it wasn't ideal.
when I first met
It's
her.
important to note, I mean,
She moved into
who are the members in that group
She probably moved
that you
there
actually,
like
that report directly to you, that you work with every day?
14
Well,
or
Mike Noble's the only one. Actually, Mike Nobles works with me every day. Tony James reports
Your
to me,
apartment's
but
over
he's
off
assigned to the
Kirkland
Jefferson County
Gardens, which
Sheriff's
isn't too far.
highway interdiction, so we don't work together every day.
So you get members of CID that you don't typically work every day together
Right.
with. But I mean, you know, we're all expected to have the same tactics. I
Oh,
understand
you
that.
lived with,
But,
okay.
but also keep in mind that, and I know this from my experience, is that when you do things with others, you kind of know what that person's,
Right.
how, you know, how they kind of maneuver through
You live there by
these
yourself?
situations.
Right, and the guys did a great job after the fact, so I don't want to,
Right.
you know,
Do you
say
all go
anything
and
negative
stay at your
about that.
apartment too, sometime? Is there anything you want to state for the record before we end?
We do
No.
pretty much rotate.
Is everything you tell me the truth, the best or not?
Yes.
So if our sister was there right
Include
now,
the
we
statement,
probably would have
crime
had
is
our apartment back.
1336.
My sister's out of town right now.